Normal headlights are boring. Let's make something cool. Okay, so what are we going to try to do? Well, first up, we're going to want some headlights. So I'm going to try to find some screens, and then I'm going to try to build a housing for those screens. Then, what do we want to put on those headlights? Well, we could have some like pre-built-in image and, maybe that'll be okay. But what if we made it dynamic? Okay, so what if we had like some sort of controller down here, and the controller used things like the accelerometer, so like X and Y, to know which way maybe big dumb googly eyes should look. So okay, let's do that. Now, what if we need to give them power? Okay, so the car has like an alternator over here, and that alternator tries to like spin and make power, and and we need to be able to send that over to like something that can turn those 12 volts into, or plus, right, into something that our controllers can run. So maybe like 5 volts. And then, we are probably going to want to put this, instead of having to run like a ton of wires between this thing, what if instead what we did was we ran one wire, and that one wire happened to have 4 or 5 or 8 wires in it? Okay, and then what if we were able to also, so like we run one wire, what if also we were able to like just kind of send that wire like one out from the other? So then, if we ended up adding more of these stupid little googly eyes, then we wouldn't have tens and tens and tens of different types of wires. If we're going to try to find a screen, I started with a place called Adafruit. They're a really neat company that does stuff like circuit board design, and then they make like really interesting components, and then they also publish a bunch of guides that tell you how you can use those components, like making your own laser sword TM. And they're also just like a really cool and ethical company. Anyways, okay, cool. So they have displays for sale. So let's look through all their displays. And wow, they really do have a lot. How would we ever pick? Well, maybe we try to just pick the biggest one. This headlight is approximately 5 inches, 5.5 inches wide, 144 centimeters. So we want something, okay, round. Okay, cool. 4 inches. That's kind of a lot, but it's still like 20% too small, especially because it's going to be in a circle. It's like it's really going to be noticeable, but it's high res. I ended up going with a square one that was 4 inches wide, mainly just to make the programming easier. If you're programming in a circle, or like coordinates for a circle, like it's kind of tricky. So yeah, here we go. We got a square, and I got a bunch of these, and then I need something to write pixels to that square. Okay, well, they make this circuit board called the Qualia. It uses an ESP32S3, and it has the like custom 40-pin adapter on it, and then a bunch of like headers and stuff that you can use to connect to something like a CAN bus, because CAN is super cool, and that's what I was talking about earlier with one wire. Actually, what if we just put the CAN protocol over Ethernet? Oh, that's it. Ethernet. Okay, cool. What if we just put it over Ethernet instead? Because then we get one cable in, but we get 8 different connections. That'd be super cool. And Ethernet cables are freaking everywhere. You can get ports for them. Yeah, there's like the 0 downside. Okay, when our screen arrived, then I got to programming it. I needed to get the timings for it, so how quickly it updates each pixel, and then how quickly it updates each line. This was incredibly tedious, but as you can see, I eventually got the timings close enough. Then I started working on the control algorithms to get the controller to be able to detect the accelerometer changes and then send that over CAN to our display. And you can see these are both being done on a breadboard. The messages are like each movement there is a single message over the CAN bus, and then you can see the transceivers there are connected between the two devices. Okay, so then after getting it all set up, I decided to do a little light PCB design as a way to like make all of my components stick together in a like rigid fashion. So I just sort of sketched out all the different pins that were on the different components. So like here's our Qualia ESP32, here's our transceiver, here is a USB-C port, and then here are those Ethernet ports that we had found before. And then I was able to start mapping that onto a PCB, like a footprint, and connect all the wires together, take a lot of dimensions. I eventually came up with this layout. I'll probably use something different in the future, but I wanted to make it such that it would fit inside of the shape of the headlight housing. And so I took a lot of, it was tricky to like get all of the distances correct because, you know, you don't want these to interfere, but also you don't want to package them. And then I put my name on it because I thought that would be really funny. And so then if we were to look at like a 3D view of it, you can see here it is. And this is, you know, what we sent to our friends in the PCB fab. And this is what they came up with, kind of. I had my circuit board. I had to figure out how I was going to package it. So that's when I briefly learned CAD. I ended up drawing this shape here that could be a 3D printable. The screen goes on the front, and then the circuit board goes on the back, and then like little ribbon cable can go through the holes or like through that little slit there, and then it'll be like briefly held in by like little stand things. I drew this like 4 times and still didn't really get it right. CAD is hard, Jesus Christ. Okay, so then I sent my PCB designs over to the good folks over in Shenzhen, and they were able to create some of these things in wicked fast fashion. I got them all soldered up, put all the components on them, and then look, it freaking works. All the eyes turn. Isn't that amazing? They're plugged into each other. The controller is kind of doing all the controller things. No bugs. I ended up making a little distribution panel that you can see here. It's got a fuse in line, and it just allows me to take that power in from the car at 12 volts and step it down to 5, and then also do some distribution stuff so that it's like technically a CAN bus. And then yeah, here's the controller module on just a square rectangle PCB. It's got a button. Yeah. Then I started printing the casing for it. I broke a screen in the process, got it all assembled and thrown into the car. Here's a small little case that I made for the main controller. It's once again just a rectangle, securely fashioned via the toughest things around, aka zip ties. And then I've got that connected via Ethernet over to our hub, once again secured in the most secure fashion. And hey, look, there it is, left and right. Thanks for watching. That's Project Expression.